No, I think this is a really important topic. For one, am such an activist when it comes to giving women or girls the power to get to know their bodies, and boys as well. Because so many life-changing and life-saving decisions can be made for themselves if they really do know their bodies.
Yes, I agree. As simple as having menstruation once a month.
Yeah.
Women should not feel ashamed of that.
That's one thing, and menstruation is a lot more than you just bleeding,
Yep,
right?
that's
and
true.
that's what I think that's the most important message that I never got to learn. Even I mean, like I understood we learned it in biology and this, but it's not really learning in a practical way that was applied to our daily lives. That I didn't actually realize how important keeping track of your cycle is.
That's true.
Until we were adults.
Yes.
And
We're trying.
And of course, when we know through the education, we can differentiate between a myth and of course the fact. Because it's really important when there's a myth about this, then we have to know what is from the medical perspective about, especially through when we're talking about.
Because sometimes a myth can feel like a fact.
Yeah, that's right.
Especially if we hear it all the time.
And from older generations.
Yeah, that's true.
They say when the previous generations say it's a wise saying, right? We should listen to it. But I think it's also really, really important because, as I said before, so many life-changing decisions can be made by knowing about your body.
I see. I think our speaker is already here.
Yes.
And to know more about the community, we're now connected with Niluh Putu Elsy Savitri Damayanti, or we call her Eci, from Tenggara Youth Community. Hi, Eci. How are you?
Hi, Eci.
Hello, Ka. I'm good. How are you?
We're all very excited.
All good. So we're here. It's Maria, Kai, and also Aris. So the first question is, why did you build Tenggara Youth Community?
Okay, so first of all, thank you for the opportunity. I'm here as a facilitator, one of the facilitator of Tenggara Youth Community. So Tenggara was born by the magic hand of Kak Mariana Opat and Gary Pratama. Kak Mariana Opat is well known as educator in Instagram with her username called @perempuan_timor. It's a really unique name and a great to be stood by this platform where everyone just search her, and she is a well-known one. And Tenggara was born from this of young people in East Nusa Tenggara, especially in our capital city, Kupang City. And the anxiety is about the access of the comprehensive sexuality education and the anxiety about the teenagers that experiencing unwanted pregnancies, the sexual violence, the illegal abortions, and still rarely touched by the province or the capital city in the
Interesting. And Eci, you are one of the facilitator, and can you share with us about what are the most misinformation the youth have about, of course, about sex and reproduction?
I've been in Tenggara for 5 years. I've been joining in since 2018, and I see that most of people think that if we are taking a part in the sexual reproduction health and information, we are trying to dig in more about the pornography. So it is a misconception. And it still belongs until now.
So Eci, how important has it been to see the differences between before and after? Because here's the thing, that this is very, very important information. And have you had any stories you've heard from before something that changed one of your students' lives in regards to having before knowing and after knowing? What difference have you experienced or the students experienced in terms of impact from what they have learned?
Okay, currently we have a buzz information about the captive marriages, if you have heard about it. And there's a tradition, of siphon. It is a traditional circumcision, but it is totally unsafe. We use the tool that is not safe, that is not proper to the health. So it is in Atoy Meto community. We are trying to educate from the Bacarita Kespo activities, the program, the great program that we are currently doing, where teenagers are invited to talk about it, the risk, the relate between that risk and this current in this world, that it is not actually still related to our rights now. And for example, regarding siphon, we provide an alternative, which is a medical circumcision, which is safer, and it is based on the module from the Ministry of Health. So we are trying to possess more about the tradition, so they are not doing it anymore because of the safe reason.
I see. And what are the activities available for the teenagers in the community?
Okay, so starting at 2017, we are trying to see that 8 to 10 children, they didn't have any information about sexual and reproductive health. So that we have 4th grade program, which the Teman Bacarita, they are being a content creator for sexual reproductive health on Instagram, and we are combine them with the facilitating. So we give them the myth and fact between the productive health, and also we have the games like the snake and ladders. We have that kind of games to attract more the children. So we inject some fun activities so that they will never compare the sexual education that they have in formal education, such as in the class where teachers are trying to say something in person, but we are trying to include the fun activities to make them, I'm having a good insight, even though I don't know that I'm actually learning.
Oh, that's interesting. And you know, actually, you are one of the facilitator, and of course, you are helping many youth, and of course, you are interacting with the parents. So, when we're talking about the parents, what role do parents and families play when, of course, when teaching about sex education and for children and teenagers?
Okay, so what's interesting is that we are adopting also a theoretical framework from the McLaren, where actually the circle, the inside, the very inside one is about the individual. It's not about the individual of herself or himself, but also her or his mother. So from this step 1, we can conclude that actually they need more information. The first step is to their family, but then the problem is it is taboo for the family to talk about it, to really dig into what's wrong with my body, what are the changes, and what is the function of those changes. So that basic question is not answered by the teenagers or the children, so that they are trying to get into another information from outside, where actually we don't know it is valid or not. So it is a crucial part of education of the sex education comes from parents.
You know, something interesting that you mentioned is that it seems relatable everywhere in Indonesia, not just in rural areas, even in the cities. It's still sort of taboo to really talk about these things from a holistic and knowledgeable and educational point of view. Now, I'm very curious, what sort of topics do you cover? Because sexual health and reproduction health is not just for girls; it's for both girls and boys. And I saw a couple of clips. You also talk about puberty, I think, and what are the topics that makes it interesting, because we don't always talk about puberty and what happens at puberty. Why do I get pimples, for instance? So what are some of the most important topics you think that has to be conveyed to teenagers and the young people for them?
Okay. We are expanding our topics because we realized that actually it's not the sexual education where what they thought about, but it is also about how their self is ready to observe what is going on with their community. So it is also related to toxic relationship, also related to self-love, because if they are if they know that actually your problem is big enough to be observed, then you can see um, what is actually deeper beside those kind of things that
Yeah.
you are trying to see about the relationship or yourself. But let's figure out about your body first. So we are trying to expand between your body and the circumstances around her or him.
Oh,
Yeah, it's very interesting, and I know it can be a little tricky to explain them. So, are there specific difficulties or challenges in providing such a comprehensive explanation about sex education in East Nusa Tenggara? And if so, how do you address it?
Okay. Basically, we are lacking of a facilitator itself because we are currently see that actually people know about sexuality of education, but they don't know deeper and how to educate in a specific way, either for children and teenagers, because they both totally in different methods. One is about the fun activities, but one is about the how deep it is, how deep the information we are going to say. So we are trying to make like facilitating to the facilitator before they are going to explain it to others. We have our founder also already got a degree about the health, and also she already going abroad representing Tenggara about this project. And they when everyone comes back, they can share everything that they might have about the sexual reproductive health nowadays. And also the second thing about the parents itself, because they are still taboo about it, and they think that it is not really matter. And when we are written in a religious way, because um, we have been facilitating also in some churches, because one or two of them is interesting how this issue also related to the safe place for gender and children. Then once again, we are just trying to give an education based on what they are trying to dig into. So like we have a scope. Like what do you need? Then we can give it to you. But if it is too hard to be real to be shared, then we will know. Then we will never. Then we will not really giving it to them. So we just give what they request us to be give to be given.
customized.
Interesting,
Yeah.
interesting. And Eji,
Yeah,
you know, you
customized.
are one of the facilitator. You mentioned you try to educate boys and girls, all the youth, through a very fun way. Are there any cultural or traditional practices in East Nusa Tenggara that related to sex education, and how are they managed or included, of course, through your education process?
Yeah, as I've said before, that we have so many tribal practices that actually not really related to the current issues nowadays, like the rights and how they actually should have the right to do it or not. But then the problem is they are trying to say that um, it's our practices.
Yeah.
It is none of your business. Yeah. So we are trying to say in a different way that we look at your health. We look at how safe it is to you. Then please choose nicely. And yeah, and we just give option. We just give options, not to direct them to a certain situation. So the decision is on them, but we are giving more options to be safer and healthier.
I see. Well, education certainly is a big start.
Yep.
I want to address the elephant in the room, right? Because we've talked about what is being discussed and how your approach is. But according to you as a facilitator and as a representative from Tenggara, you've been doing this for quite a while now, from 2018. what are the benefits of, as early as possible, teaching children that it's okay to talk about sexual education and reproductive health in an educational manner? How can these kids, especially in rural areas, benefit from having this education?
Okay, I heard about what you've been discussing about the menstrual hygiene.
Yeah.
It's one of our topic, and it's a hot topic to be mentioned, that actually the period poverty is still a big deal in East Nusa Tenggara, because we have we are lacking of a great stability of water, the quality of the access to to really have a great menstrual experience. Because because for the basic one, I have a facilitator also. They found that this girl is really frustrated and anxious about her menstrual.
Oh, yeah.
And it is not normal for us, because it will happen once in a month. So can you imagine how many times she is afraid of herself because of the cycle?
I see.
Yeah.
So because she's seen it, nobody's explained to her that it's actually a normal and it's just part of being a woman or being a girl, right? Female.
Yeah, but without education, one can
It's
be
scary,
it's scary and can be pretty confusing. And it is about women. What about the men in the community? What problems do they face, and how do you offer solutions to them?
So she's a boy mom. She's taking
Yeah, I'm a mother of one son.
That's right.
Okay, so we have a facilitator. I know that it is just one between 10 of us. So it is unfortunate to see that the boys see this is not really matters, but I believe that there are so many boys out there who are really into these matters. But then what is the education that we can give to the boys is about that you are allowed to cry, you are allowed to know what is wrong with your body, about the masturbation. It is not a taboo for anyone, and you know how to safer, you know how to be a safe place for women.
Yeah.
You know how to treat your mom and your sister, some kind of like that. So the basic tips, I can see that the boys are actually need just a place for them for some basic information, because they are not really getting it from their family.
I see. Well, you know, Echi, thank you so much for everything that you do and all the success. And hopefully, I actually am a little bit curious, and I want to find out more. So if we want to find out more about, you know, the Tenggara community, where can we check it out? Just one last question before that.
Okay, so we have an account in Instagram at Tenggara NTT, EENGGARANTT.
Well, thank you so much, Echi, and I hope there will be more and more people, you know, being more raised awareness by this program, hopefully. And, you know, you need more facilitators, you need more people who are involved in this, because this is a very, very important issue. Hopefully, this is an issue that can be addressed all throughout the nation. Echi, thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Echi.
Thank you, and
Bye-bye.
see the stories. We'll continue after the break, so make sure you stay tuned with us on the 3-Hour News Show on See Today.